Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next session, Introduction to Microsoft Intune. My name's Anna. I'm an event planner for Reactor. I'm joining you today from Redmond, Washington. Before we start, I have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional, and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer live. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand within 24 to 48 hours right here on the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel. With that, I'd love to turn it over to our presenters. Thanks for joining us today.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna, for kicking this off, and very appreciated to run this series together with Niklas about mastering endpoint security. In this series, we will talk about Intune. We will guide you through all of the features what Intune have, what is important in regards to security. And our goal is, to make you from a beginner to an advanced user of Intune. In the end, our target audience is everyone from IT professional to security enthusiast, but also beyond. It's always important to understand which tools are there, which features are there, and how you can apply them in your company to gain some benefits out of it. And yes, in general, the objective is that you learn what Intune is, what features Intune has in regards of device security and management. And we will cover here a lot of different topics, from creating policies to creating compliance, also how you can monitor compliance and security of your devices, but also how you can protect all your organizational data. And our outcome of this series is that you have a solid foundation, how you can use Intune in your device environment to have a benefit out of it. Yes, and with this, I will introduce myself. My name is Yannick Reinhardt. I'm working mostly on AI topics, but also on workplace and cloud topics. And I always try to find the bridge of all of these three technologies. And I blog about this. I also speak on events about this topic, and it's more or less my passion. I came from Germany. I have a blog, yannickreinhardt.com. My hobbies are sports, as already mentioned, make a lot of community contribution, and I'm a dual Microsoft MVP. I'm MVP for Security Intune and an MVP for AI platform. And I'm more or less available on all the social networks and platforms. And always, if you have questions or if you want to follow up on a specific topic, reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help you out. And with this, I will hand over to Niklas.
Yeah, thank you, Yannick. So my name is Niklas Olsen. I'm 21 years old, and in my daily job, I work as a consultant apprentice. And besides that, I use a lot of my time as a Microsoft Learn student ambassador. And apart from that, I do some blogging and speaking as well. Also together with Yannick, and also around the topic on endpoint management as well. I'm from Denmark, and you can find my blog on learnintune.net. And if you're interested in get in touch or have any questions or anything, you can reach out to me on all kind of socials. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So what we will go through of this session, we will cover what is Microsoft Intune, and we will talk a little bit about why it's so important to have a management tool for securing your endpoints as well. And then we will talk a little bit about getting started with Microsoft Intune, and some of the prerequisites in order to get compliant on licensing, but also how you take the first steps into setting up your Microsoft Intune environment. After that, we will cover some of the core concepts as well around Intune, and also some of the functionalities that you have to be aware of when you work with Intune. Apart from that, we will explore the key features as well, so you get a really great or a good idea about what features you have to be aware of when working with Intune. And hopefully, Once you've seen this episode today, you will have a solid understanding of Intune purposes and how you can leverage Intune to manage your devices and make sure they are secure as well. So first of all, I want to have you guys think about a situation. You are currently employed at an internal IT department at a company with around maybe 100 devices, and you have to manage those devices one by one. So this means you have to install Office 365, you have to install the VPN, you have to install all different kind of software on all those computers one by one. And apart from that, you also have to make sure that they are healthy, you have to maintain security on them, and you just have to make sure that they are 100% up to date. And that's when we're talking about one by one without anything to manage those devices central from. That would be really tough, right? I mean, that I would hate it personally because you would be really stressed and you would have to make sure that you can get in touch with all devices. And that's not really the ideal world today because people are working from everywhere. So that would be a very big hassle as well. I know that Active Directory and group policy objects existed before Intune, but this is just to give you a little perspective on how Intune can be used and how you can use it to manage all your endpoints across different platforms as well. So yeah, look at this poor guy. He's really stressed out, I can see. So that's just to give you guys an idea about what Intune can help you with.
But yes, let's clarify directly at the beginning what is Intune. For sure, this is also the objective of our whole series, and no worries, we'll not cover everything in one slide. But let me give you an overview what Microsoft delivers in the direction of endpoint management in this whole suite. In the end, we have Intune with a lot of core features. Core features are things like autopilot. We will talk about autopilot more in detail in one of the future next slides. But also the whole things what you need to manage and secure your devices. This is really Intune Core. But also beyond the Intune Core, Intune also provides the Intune Suite. Intune Suite are some add-on features what you have to buy in the past from third parties, which this is something what Microsoft also provide from first party, where you can use this tool to further extend the security on your devices, also with some innovative solutions like privilege access management, or you also have possibilities to remote connect to your devices and much more. It's very interesting what is available here. Also, beside this, you also have endpoint analytics. This is a very strong solution to manage your to monitor your devices, to also see how your devices performs, what is the end user experience, or also to identify some issues what you have. It's always worth to check this out, but we will also talk about this more in detail in one of the next slides. Also, Intune is fully integrated in the whole Microsoft environment. This means Intune is connected to solutions like Defender, is connected to Entra ID for managing your identities, which are more or less a prerequisite for the whole management of your devices, or also to manage your groups. You also have the possibility to find the bridge to your on-premise environment. This means also if you run Config Manager, you can attach or you can co-manage your devices also here with Intune to make the transition more smooth or more easy for you when you also have a footprint on-premise. But also there are a lot of other nice features around what makes your life easier. Also, there's a lot of investments into a security co-pilot. This means you find in a lot of different places in the Intune portal also the security co-pilot, which help you to make your work much easier, to use natural language, to get some data, to solve some task. It's also a great thing what is really deeply integrated into Intune. Yes, but why should I use Intune? That's a good question. In the end, Intune is a unified endpoint management platform. It's also the leader in this whole environment. And it's important to mention, in the end, Microsoft supports more or less all the common operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and much more. And the nice thing here is you have everything in one platform. You have everything in the same environment also as your identities. It makes it much easier if you bring everything under one hood. Also, beside of classical device management, you also have a possibility to manage your applications, to also enable scenarios like bring your own device, that also people can use their private phone or their private workplaces to access company data on a secure way. It's also a great thing. And scenarios like this, we have much more. Also, with the COVID situation, a lot of people went from the office where they were on site into remote scenarios. And also here, it's a great thing when you manage your devices from the cloud, because the only prerequisite what you need to reach the devices is an internet connection. Also, this is a great thing. In the end, also Intune, one of the key features what Intune has is things to measure the compliance of your devices. If the devices met your company requirements in regards of security, but also beyond. And you can measure this, and you can also use this as signals to allow access to your company data. And there are a lot of further nice features to secure their devices. Yes.
So, as Vanik mentioning, managing your endpoint security can be done via Microsoft Intune, but it can also be done through Defender for Endpoint. So, let's say that you might have some devices that cannot be enrolled to Intune, but you would like to make sure that those devices are getting security policies enforced. You would need another way in order to control those policies as well. So that's where Defender for Endpoint comes into the picture. You can onboard all the devices that cannot get into Intune directly into Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, and from there you can actually configure the same set of policies that you can do from Intune. Apart from the policies as well, in the Defender portal, you can also get some great reporting about the current state and health on your devices. You can also get some information about the vulnerabilities that are currently on the devices as well. And from the portal, you might see a little difference on the devices that are managed by Defender for Endpoint and those that are managed from Intune. All the devices that are managed by Defender for Endpoint are managed by MDE, and those that are managed by Intune are managed by Intune, of course. And this doesn't only target Windows devices. It also targets Mac OS. It also targets Windows servers. There's a lot of different platforms that you can onboard to Defender for Endpoint. So it's just to say that even though your devices cannot get into Intune, it's not an excuse for not enforcing security policies on those devices. So there's a lot of different possibilities. And in order to get started with setting up Intune, we would like to get started with getting compliant on the devices. So first of all, you can get the Intune Plan 1, which is the standalone license for Intune. And in that license, you will get access to application management, device management, and endpoint analytics. But you have to be aware, as Yannick mentioned earlier, that Intune is integrating into other products, such as endpoints ID, Defender for Endpoint, and those products are not licensed in that license. So that will cause some issues if you're not licensed for those. So if you are a small, medium business, Microsoft 365 Business Premium will help you a lot, because Intune is included in that license, Defender for Endpoint is included in that license, but also endpoints ID. So there's a lot of great things in the Business Premium license if you are a small, medium businesses. If you are a big enterprise, you might go for the E3 or E5 license instead. But for small, medium businesses, Microsoft 365 Business Premium is a good place to start. And apart from that, as Yannick mentioned, the Intune suite is also available. So if you would like to get all the features in Intune, including your license, you can buy the Intune suite. And even though if you have some third-party products, such as enterprise, such as maybe patch management, you can get that with the enterprise app management, which are included in the Intune suite. But there's also Cloud PKI, and there is endpoint privilege management, which are admin by request feature, where your users can elevate with administrator rights with that feature as well. And then we have remote help, which is also a feature for admins to remote into another device for helping the user as well. Other than the licenses, if you want to enter the portal, you can go into endpoint.microsoft.com, which was the old name, but you can also go into intune.microsoft.com, or if you would like to use the short URL, aka.ms/endpoint as well. And lastly, I just want to give a little shout out to M265 Maps. It's a great community website where you can see all the licenses, but also which features are included in which license. And this will give you a good idea about which license should be good to use if you are looking into Microsoft licenses as well. So yeah, that was a little bit about the setting up Microsoft Intune. So let's get to the first key feature, Yannick.
Yes, in the next slides, we will guide you through the different key features, what we see with Intune. The first one we want to talk about is the funny thing, the device enrollment, how you can bring your devices into Intune. In the end, there are multiple possibilities for sure how you can enroll a Windows device. For sure, you have the possibility to manually enroll a device into Intune. You can also use Config Manager to do this, but the most important thing is, or the most common things to do it is the Windows Autopilot. This is a great way how you can enroll these devices to provide the end user a nice experience. We will talk a bit more in the next slides about the full process, but in the end, you provide an end user an experience as he know it from his private or personal devices. When he set it up, it's very similar in an enterprise environment. It's very easy and straightforward how you can enroll these devices. Beside this, there is also the device preparation. Some also talk about Autopilot V2. In the end, there are a lot of aspects, refined how the whole enrollment works. You have much more possibilities to monitor the whole process, and it's much more simplified how you can enroll your devices. You also have some possibilities what Windows Autopilot did not offer. This means it's also worth to check out, especially when you start by setting up a new environment. Also important to mention is there are different ways how you can join your devices in Entra ID, because this is in the end a prerequisite that also the devices are connected to Entra ID, and we have different join types. We have a full Entra join. This means the device is Entra only joined, but you also have some other possibilities. You have the possibility to make a hybrid join. This means the device is joined to Entra ID, but on the same time also to your on-premise ID. This is something what I would not recommend if it's possible, and if you don't have use cases where it's really necessary. I would strongly recommend to make an Entra ID only join of your devices, but you also have the possibilities to make an Entra registered scenario. This is mostly for bring your own device. This means you don't have a full join of your devices, but the device is more or less known in Entra ID, that you can also have these features to access company data, for example.
I think should we just maybe take some questions before we go on?
Yes, we can.
I can see there is a question from Martin. He's asking, we are now using RMM tool and we want to use it in a collaboration with Intune. Is this a good idea? Do you want to answer this, Yannick, or should I?
I can, or I can try. In the end, I would recommend to go to an Intune only management, but it always depends on your scenarios, what you want to solve. This means it's hard to give you here a generic answer, but I would recommend to look into Intune only and figure out what are the features, what you are missing, if there are really features, what you are missing, to use an MM tool, or if you can go with an Intune only scenario.
I think that, and then I'm not quite sure if that's a question from Lawrence, but he's asking customizable ISOs. And I think the important thing to mention here is that autopilot and device preparation are not imaging tools, so you cannot deploy images with those. I'm not quite sure I understand the question, Yannick. I don't think if you have any other answer to that one.
In the end, you have the possibilities to make a customization of your ISOs. It's possible. You can also do this at OEM level, and then deliver the devices directly with this customized ISO to the devices. But we will talk also about this later. Strongly recommend think as much as possible out of the box and only make such adjustments only when it's necessary, because you also have to maintain it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we need to take the last question here before we can move on.
Yes.
A question many clients are asking, why we need to go to Intune, and we know why, but does Microsoft have some published docs to show the benefits in between SCCM and Intune? I'm not quite sure if there are published documentation between moving from SCCM to Intune. I think I've heard Microsoft mention this before, but I think it's really important to say that Intune is not a total replacement for SCCM, so it will not cover the same things that SCCM does today. But I would, as Yannick are mentioning, we are moving towards a cloud-only approach, and I think it's really it's necessary to have a tool that you can manage your devices with instead of SCCM.
Yes.
And we completely understand that there is use cases out there for using SCCM still. But again, it is a journey, and you cannot just move all your devices or move the whole environment tomorrow. It's a very long process.
Yes, but I think there are good blogs out from Microsoft who describe these cloud native scenarios. I can share this after this session also in the comments if you're interested in. But I think there are a lot of reasons also to go into such a cloud native way. In the end, you always have the latest features. You don't have to take care about the whole maintenance of your infrastructure. In the end, you have worldwide connections out of the box and much more. This means I strongly recommend, if it's possible, to go into cloud native scenarios. But as Niklas said, also not all features are there. But what I can say is also that very big companies also manage these ways with all these possibilities of Intune. And I think there are not so much features which are missing.
So I think we need to move on, otherwise we won't finish the presentation. But we will get back to the questions.
Yes. On this slide, we will talk a bit about your journey, how you can start, and what are things what you have to consider. I will not go through all of the steps, what you can see here, but I will point out the most important things. In the end, if you decide to go into a cloud native or go into a cloud management with Intune, it's very important that you clean up your mind and think what is really necessary. What do I need? This means not making replication of your SCCM implementation into Intune. It's more important to think, more or less out of the box. Think with the new technologies how you can do this, and not making copy paste of your your previous implementation. Also, what I see as a very important point is change in communication in the whole journey. You have to show the end user what are the possibilities, what is changed, but not only your end users, also the whole IT environment. You have to communicate this to security, to network guys, because also here are some changes, what has to be considered. Also in regards of network, in the end, you have to reach all the necessary endpoints, for example. Also, this is very important that you consider this on an early step and not make a big bang. It's better that you have a step-by-step approach. Start with a small group of IT admins and then go further and further with some tester groups to get a lot of feedback and improve in multiple iterations. But that's more or less, the main aspects, but there's also a very good link. It's Intune planning guide. You should definitely check this out. Here you also get much more insights how you can set up your journey towards cloud management. Good. With this, we want to jump back to the whole autopilot process. I will show you how the whole thing works and what's the nice thing out of it. In the end, you have a hardware vendor who produce your devices, and we have to marry these devices with your Intune tenant or with your tenant what you have. Here you have two possibilities. One is you enable your OEM, your vendor, to do this in behalf of you. This means you can give them the permissions and they can register your devices in your tenant. But you can also do this as admin. You can upload these hardware hashes into your tenant, but there are also a lot of nice tools out in the field from the community, which makes this registration process much easier. Then the vendors ship these devices, but the big difference, also if we look at the picture what Niklas showed you at the beginning, is they ship not the devices to the IT department. They can ship these devices directly to the home office, for example, of a user. They power this on, and then the journey starts. They have an out-of-the-box experience, how they can enroll these devices. The devices will connect to the cloud. The cloud detects that this device is registered for a specific tenant, and then you will land at your organizational page. You will see your logo. The user can authenticate, and that's it, more or less. Everything else will be handled by autopilot. Then you only have to roll out Windows Hello for Business, and then you also have a very nice single sign-on experience on the devices. This means it's very smooth. It don't need a touch from the IT department, and I think it's a very good end user experience, but also it free up time on the IT department side.
Yeah, and I mean it releases the pressure and the stress from the IT department as well, like we talked about earlier. So the whole flow is just making our life as IT admins really easy, right? I mean, we
Yes.
love things when they're easy. So to the key feature number 2, application management. So when we are talking about Intune, we cannot talk about Intune without talking about application management as well, because this is actually a really important part of Intune as well. So in Intune, you also have the possibility to deploy applications to your devices and users, and there is different kind of app types in Intune. Um, there is the Microsoft Store apps, as you might know from your own device. There is line of business apps, which is basically just an MSI file that you can upload directly to Intune, and from there on deploy to your devices. But we also have Win32 apps, which are basically can be many different file types, but one of the most common file types, exe and MSI files as well. And the great thing about Win32 apps is that you get a lot more control than you do with line of business apps. Something that we will touch on a little bit later as well. And other than that, we also have the Google Play Store available. We have the iOS and App Store available for those platforms. So all in all, we have many different possibilities in order to deploy applications to our users. And believe it or not, but we can actually also make applications available to the personally owned devices. So let's say you have a bring your own device in your organization, and you would like to make company applications available to that device. That's also possible with Intune. But when we do that, we would like to make sure that company data are protected on those devices as well. And that's where app configuration policies and app protection policies comes into play. With the app configuration policies, you can actually manage the whole user experience. You can define the app language. You can actually also block use of personally accounts as well. And then we have app protection policies. And this is where you can really protect your company data. You can specify that the user should not be able to block or should be able to copy and paste in the company app, but you can also block that the user are trying to back up company data to their own personal cloud. And lastly, also the possibility of blocking screenshots. So, I mean, there's a lot of great possibilities here when we are talking about protecting company data on personally owned devices as well. So there's a lot of different possibilities in order to manage your applications and your devices. And this doesn't only cover company-owned devices. So in this session, we will mainly focus on Windows devices. So as of now, these are the app types that are currently available. As I mentioned before, the Microsoft Store app, which are the same experience that you might see on your own computer. Then we have Microsoft 365 apps, which are the Office 365 apps that you can deploy with the built-in configurator. Then we have Microsoft Edge, Windows WebLink, and line of business app, as I mentioned earlier, is MSI files that you can upload directly to Intune. And then we have the Windows app, which is Win32 in short, that contains all different kind of file types that you can deploy, but also if you have some dependencies to a specific app that you would like to deploy together with your application, that's also possible. And lastly, as I mentioned before, Enterprise App Management is available in the Intune suite. So if you have that license, you can deploy apps directly from that catalog as well. So that's also another benefit of using the Intune suite license.
But one thing what I want to extend here, this is only the possibilities for Windows, but there's also support for other platforms like Mac OS, for example. This means also here we have a full bench of possibilities, but in this series we only want to talk about Windows. But the most of these concepts we show here, you can also apply to other platforms.
Yeah, exactly. As Yannick is mentioning, there's many different possibilities to deploy apps across your different platforms as well. And as I mentioned earlier, in this session, we will mainly focus on the Windows app, but I would like to take a little step into line of business apps and Win32 apps because those are really similar. And if you don't really know the differences between those two and some of the things that you might encounter when you're using those two, it's just good to know. But with the Win32 app, you get a lot more control. So let's say that you would like to deploy a 32-bit Google Chrome installation. I know there's not a lot of 32-bit out there yet, or still, but that's also a possibility. So you can make that 32-bit installation only available to your 32-bit devices as well. But then you can also specify the minimum operating system version. So let's say you would like to make a specific app available only to a specific Windows version. That's also possible. And apart from that, you can manually configure your detection rules, but also make your own custom detection rules with PowerShell. And there's a lot more, which we will cover a little bit later on. And another great thing about Win32 is that it supports different file types, as I mentioned earlier. So if you have an exe file with some dependencies, you can deploy that all together and make sure that your app gets installed as it should on your devices. So it can actually handle those apps that are not very simple to deploy. So with Win32, you're a lot more flexible. But again, when we are talking about line of business apps, it is indeed easy and quick to deploy. And if you're having an MSI file that are just a simple installation, you don't have to worry about wrapping it as an Intune Win file and upload it. But you can do it quick and easy with the line of business app. But there is some things that you have to think about when you are thinking about using a line of business app or Win32 app. To start off with, the Win32 app uses the Intune management extension, which gets installed on your devices that are enrolled into Intune. But line of business app doesn't use the Intune management extension. So let's say that you are using both app types in your environment. There could potentially be some issues, especially if you're using Windows Autopilot v1, because line of business apps and Win32 apps doesn't talk together. So basically what this means is that they can conflict and they can cause your Autopilot deployment to fail. So that's one thing to think about. But if you're using device preparation or Autopilot v2, that's not an issue anymore. But if you're using the new or the old version of Autopilot, you should think about something like this. But again, in my personally opinion is that I'm only using Win32 apps in order to streamline the app types across Windows. And I also wanted to make it easy for me or my colleague that comes and take a look at the environment the next time as well. Yannick, what is your favorite app type to deploy to Windows?
Fully agree what you said. Nothing to add.
I mean, it's even though it's really easy to deploy line of business apps, it's just Win32 gives you a lot more control, and it just makes it streamlined across your Windows apps as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now let's get to some demonstration. So I want to show you guys how you can package your line of business apps and your Win32 apps. So let's take a look at the line of business apps to start with. So basically, you can see here, I have the Google Chrome installation file on my desktop here. And I have gone ahead and opened a command prompt. And in this command prompt, I'm just calling the installation file, and then I'm using a /?, which will give me the parameters that are available for this file. And this is coming in really handy because we have to specify the command line arguments for our line of business apps later on in Intune. So when I do this, it will give me the different parameters, and I'm looking for the /quiet option because I would like to deploy this app quietly in the background without the user noticing. So what I'm doing here is I'm logging into Intune. I'm uploading my MSI file. And it's already pre-filled, some of it. And the only thing I have to enter is the publisher. And then the command line arguments. In my case, I want to enter the /quiet option. And of course, because I'm a good IT admin, I'm also using the category as well, because Chrome is definitely a productivity app, right? And then lastly, we have the assignments here, and be aware, I'm deploying it to all my devices, but that's only because it's my test environment and my lab environment. Always test your apps before you push it to your devices. That's really important. And as you can see here, it's finished. My app is ready to get deployed from Intune, and it took around perhaps 5 minutes. And if I didn't have the file ready, it might take 10 minutes in total if I had to download the Google Chrome installation file as well. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, line of business apps are really quick and really easy to get ready for Intune. And for the next demonstration, we have Win32 apps. And in my case here, I have also used the Google Chrome installation file again, and I'm downloaded the Intune Win app util, which helps me generate the Intune Win file that I needed to upload an app to Intune as a Win32 app. So what I will start off by doing here is that I will open the Intune Win app util, and then I will specify the source folder. And in my case, it's just the Chrome folder here. And once I've done that, I have to specify the setup file. And in my case, I will just make my life a little bit easier and show the file name extensions. And then I can just rename the app and copy the full name and make sure that everything are correctly pasted in, because that's really critical to remember. And for the output folder, I'll just pick the same folder. It doesn't really matter in this case. And then I will specify the catalog folder as no. And then it takes a little bit of time to compress the content into this Intune Win file. So when we are talking about the Intune Win file, you can actually consider it as when you are zipping things together, like with 7-zip and other tools. You can actually, it's the same process that happens. So let's say you have several files in the same folder, and what the Intune Win app util does is that it compresses everything together into one single file. And whenever Intune deploys that to the device, it will decompress the file, and then it can use the files for the installation. So that's really nice, right?
Absolutely.
So we've compressed it everything, and then I'm just navigating to Intune and adding the application. And then I have to upload the Win32 app. And I will just edit the description because I would like to make it for it to make sense. So I'm just saying installation of Google Chrome. And then I have to specify the publisher. And as a good IT admin again, I'm just selecting a logo for this application. And then I will click next. And as you might see here, wow, it already put in the install commands and the uninstall commands, so I don't have to think about putting those things in. And that's the nice thing about just wrapping the MSI file, because that will give you all the install commands and uninstall commands in most cases. As you can see here, it's using MSI exec and then using /i for install and then /qn for quiet, because we would like to make sure that the app is installed in the background and not annoying the user while they're working. And as you can see here, we have a lot of different options as well. We have the install time required, and we have if we want them to be available for uninstall, the install behavior, and a lot of other great things. And as you can see here, we can specify the requirements. So in my case, I would like it to be available for 64-bit devices and for devices that are on a minimum operating system of Windows 10 21H1. And you also have the possibility to define the disk space required. You also have the possibility to define physical memory required, and a lot of different other things as well. And for the detection rules, as I mentioned earlier, we can manually configure it or use a custom detection script. And for this one, I will just pick the MSI, because luckily for me, I don't have to do any work, and it's already inputted the product code. And if I wanted to do it the product version, I could also do that. And as you can see here, we have the dependencies, and the dependencies is, so let's say we have app A and app B, and we would like to make sure that app B is installed before app A, because otherwise app A cannot install properly. So with dependency, we can make sure that an application is installed before another app as well. And then we have supersedence, is where we can supersede an older version of an app. And again, make sure to test it. I'm just using all devices because it's my lab environment, but always make sure to test it, also locally as well. So that's basically it. We have created a line of business app, and we have created a Win32 app as well. So that was pretty quick. I can see there is some questions. Should we cover some of them before we move on?
Let's jump to the questions and then we go to the last part of the presentation. Let me read out the first one from Tobias. He is asking if we have any tips if he has a customer which has already enrolled devices which are AD joined, how he can move them into an Intune management without reinstalling them with a new USB stick. Niklas, do you want to answer?
So you have devices that are not currently enrolled to Intune and it's only domain joined, or is it cloud only devices at the moment? Because if they are AD joined, as Yannick mentioning, you can start by enrolling the devices into hybrid joint, and then you can from there on make sure to do cloud only on new devices in the future. I mean, as Yannick were mentioning, it's not something that you can do for day one. So if the device is not hybrid already, get the devices hybrid so you can make sure to manage them by Intune, and then from new devices only, then you can do cloud only devices as well. I mean, Yannick, do you have other ideas for that one?
Fully agree. In the end, you have two possibilities. One is if you already have, for example, in config manager deployment, you can collect these hashes and you can register them already if there's a break and fix scenario or something like this, that they came after reset up into Intune. But you can start in this scenario with a co-management and then make sure that all new devices or all devices which are changed came in an Intune only scenario. Okay. Yes, I think in general we have a lot of comments in the chat to RMM tools. I will not go into detail about this, but there is also another comment. It's a mixed experience while using hybrid autopilot. Any way to streamline it?
I think the recommendation here, or at least from me and Yannick, I think it is don't use hybrid autopilot. Just hybrid join the device, and then from there on use autopilot for your cloud only devices. Because with hybrid autopilot, you will face a lot of issues, and a lot of issues you will face because there might be some connection to the domain controller that are not succeeded. It might be a lot of other things. So instead of using a lot of your time on troubleshooting it, make sure to do cloud only autopilot. I also think it's not recommended anymore to do hybrid autopilot as well. So that's another thing to remember as well.
Yes. There's another question, maybe the last question, and then we jump to the next part. Is we had issues harvesting the device hashes without having the devices shipped to the admin first. Any help on this? Then the advice is to not harvest the device hashes by your own. Let's register them by your OEM or hardware vendor, that they register your devices on a tenant, as I showed you some slides before. But if you have scenarios on this, you can also check out, there are really great community tools like the autopilot manager and stuff like this, which makes the experience for the end user much easier to collect these hashes and register them on a secure way also on your tenant. But as already mentioned, the ideal scenario is that you don't have need to do this by your own.
Yeah, so I think we have to move on, otherwise we won't make it.
Yes.
So key feature number 3, Yannick.
Yes, now we came to the most important feature on this series. It's managing and secure devices. And I will definitely not go into the details today because we have 3 more sessions. And here we will go very deep in this topic. It's a very important topic, but let me quickly explain what we have in this area. In the end, you have the possibilities to push policies to your devices for secure them, but also to automate stuff to make their a very good experience to the end user when they set up their devices. You have the possibility also to connect threat defense tools to your devices, to also make sure that all your devices are secure and protected against threats. But you also have a possibility to measure the compliance of your devices to see if all of your devices are compliant. And depending on this signal, this could be one of multiple signals, decide if you allow access to company data or not. But you also have possibilities to report all these states and also to remediate it if there's a deviation and you want to fix something in regards to this. But this is more or less everything what I want to talk about today about this topic. And if you are interested in to learn more about this, I can highly recommend to join one of our next sessions. But with this, I will jump to key feature 4. The key feature 4 is reporting and analytics. Also here, Intune is very strong. In the end, Intune is not only a tool to manage your devices, it's a full platform with a lot of possibilities also beyond the classical device management as you know it in the on-premise scenarios. In the end, Intune provides you a ton of reports and analytics possibilities. The most of the reports are decentral. This means you have not one menu where you find all the reports. Mostly the reports are on the place where you really need them. This means if you're in the app section, you find all the app-related reports. If you're on the device section, you also find everything what is related to devices or policies. And also, if you are on a single device, you see everything what affects this device. This means you have here a lot of insights in your devices about the health state, about the compliance, about the configuration, about errors, what you have. But you also have some central things. There is also a reporting section in Intune where you can also find the endpoint analytics solution. This is also a great thing to measure the performance, to see what's your boot times. You can also see the application reliability if you have some crashes in this regards. You see performance things, you see battery things. This means you have here a lot of further reports where you can identify some issues or some gaps what you can improve, but you can also see a kind of trend how your devices perform over time. But also as a small add-on, you can see that your devices are ready for Windows 11. Beside this, also there are some more possibilities. You can connect in Log Analytics workspace to your Intune deployment, and then you have direct log forwarding in this Log Analytics workspace, where you have the full possibilities what KQL and Log Analytics offer you to build some custom automation, reports, whatever. You can build workbooks, what you can then directly also embed into the Intune portal. Also, this is a great thing to customize everything what you want to do, and you can also enrich this data with some custom solutions what you build, also with all the possibilities what Intune with remediation scripts or Azure with automation accounts, Logic app, and whatever offers you to also make some customized solutions. And also with this, you have a full toolbox of possibilities to fill gaps. This means often you see, hey, this feature is not available, what I had in the past, but you can also fill it with all the bunch of possibilities you have around Intune. Yes. The next thing I really want to talk about, and this is one of my favorite features, is device query. With device query, you also have KQL language, what you can use to collect more or less on near real time data from your devices. You can see some registry values which are set. You can see some inventory informations, everything what you need. You can use it to make troubleshooting, and here you can also go in very complex scenarios where you join a lot of different entities together to find nail in a haystack when you troubleshoot an issue. It's a great thing, and also, as already mentioned, you have more or less real-time data to do this. And one of a great thing into this, also Copilot kicks in. This means this feature also gets Copilot support for everyone who is not familiar with writing KQL queries. He can write it in natural language, and this will translate it in a query. This means you can only describe what you want, and Copilot will do the work for you to gather and harvest the data, what you need to analyze a specific problem. And that's, I think, a very great thing. Yes, the next thing I will also talk about, this is maybe not the main solution to build your reports or your analytics solution, but it's also an thing what Intune offers you is a data warehouse. This is a warehouse full of data, also of history data, what you can very easily connect to Power BI and build reports like the report you can see on the right side. This is something where I create a community solution. You can also find this on GitHub or on my blog to see how you can start it with it. This means you can also build your custom reports and dashboards based on this data warehouse, what is out of the box available and very easy to connect to Power BI. Yes, and I already talked about endpoint analytics. As already mentioned, it's a very great tool. In the end, it starts very easy. You have some scores to see how your devices performs. You can also set your baseline, what you really want to reach, what is the score you want to reach, and then you can see if you're above or below this score. And also nice thing is you have recommendations. This means if there's something what is not normal, you see recommendations, what you can check out to improve your experience. There's also a new feature with anomaly, or not new, it's in the product since a while, but it's also great. It's anomaly detection. This means if there is changing over time on specific things like app crashes and stuff like this, also this is pointed out, but you also have here a device timeline. Also, this is very great. You see a timeline and see when something happened on a device, and this is a game changer. If you troubleshoot something, also this is really worth to check out. But it's important to mention this is also an Intune Suite feature.
So just to quickly go through the slide. So if you're new to Intune, take a look at the Intune documentation. A link will be posted in the chat. If you're looking into to get your hands on with Intune, if you have the Visual Studio subscription, you can activate the developer tenant. But if you don't, you can also activate a trial license on Microsoft 365 Business Premium as an example, or at least also maybe buy one license. It's totally up to you. But it's very important that you get hands on with the technology as well. And then if you want to do things even further, you can do the MD102 certification called Endpoint Administrator Associate. Also, a link will be added in the chat. So if you're interested in Intune and want to get a certification, that's also possible. If you are interested in joining online or offline communities, I've personally gained a lot of my experience from those communities as well, but also got a lot of help. There is the Modern Endpoint Management LinkedIn group. There is Workplace Ninja online and offline. There is MMS MOA, which is an offline conference in the US. And there's also the Microsoft EMS community Discord as well. So there's a lot of different possibilities in order to get involved with the community.
Yes, and maybe to highlight this once more, it's very important. If you face some issues, you find in this community all the experts. This means don't waste a lot of time to find solution. Ask your question, and there are a lot of people who are willing to help you and have already faced the same challenges as you have. This means it's strongly recommended to check out such communities, especially when you are new in the whole environment.
Yeah. So in summary, what we've taken a look at today, we've taken a look at what is Microsoft Intune. We've talked a little bit about the ecosystem around Intune, but we've also taking a look at the core concepts and the key features we were talking about, device enrollment, application management, and so on. So we have covered some of the things that are necessary in order to start working with Intune. And if you like this episode today, sorry, I'm talking a little bit fast, but we are running a little bit out of time. But if you want to join us on our next episode next week, take a look at aka.ms/endpoint security series. And I think that was it. Thank you everyone for joining us today. It was great to see a lot of questions as well.
Thank you very much, and very looking forward to our next episode and also to a lot of follow-up questions from you.
Thank you all for joining. Thank you to our speakers. The session is a part of a series. To view upcoming sessions and watch previous sessions on demand, you can find the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we'd love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat, and we'll see you at the next one.